everybody. If you are Army, you say, if it ain't raining, we ain't training. And hoo-ah. And it's really nice to be here today. I wish we didn't have to be standing here today. So let me just jump right in and talk about what this very, very important bill does. This is called the Warrior Act that we're introducing today, that will make it very clear in law that no one can be excluded from a military job or from an assignment on the basis of their gender. And it requires that every single standard be tied to the real job itself, whether those demands are physical or technical, tactical or cognitive. Nothing more and nothing less. That's it. In principle, that's at the heart of this legislation. And frankly, it shouldn't be controversial or even necessary at all, because women's service in our armed forces has never been about special treatment. It's always been about the woman's capability, and it's never been a favor to be allowed to serve in our military. We earn that opportunity. We are held to the very same rigorous standards as our male counterparts, and we meet and exceed them every single day. Combat roles were open to women in 2016, only after extensive, rigorous review. And in the years since, women have continued to prove what we all know, that we are capable. Women have graduated at the top of officer training programs and at U.S. Army Ranger School. They have earned combat dive badges, combat infantryman badges, expert infantryman badges, and expert soldier badges as well. They've served as master gunners and company commanders, and 174 women have earned Ranger tabs. For those who understand what all that means, that's extraordinarily impressive. And it is clear evidence that women meet the standards and they embody a warrior ethos that our military demands. And yet, despite all of this, here we are. Secretary Hegseth has publicly cast doubt on the qualifications of female service members, not because of performance, but because of who they are. He claims to support gender-neutral standards while repeatedly singling out women. Now the Department of Defense is reviewing the effectiveness of women in combat, despite years and years of data and experience that already have answered that question. At a time when global threats are rising and our military may be called upon at any moment, Secretary Hegseth should be strengthening our force, not sidelining those who are qualified. We should be supporting everyone who is willing to serve, not pushing women out simply because they are not men. Current law still leaves room, implicitly and explicitly, for women to be excluded from certain roles. And under this leadership, we cannot afford that ambiguity. So that is why the Warrior Act is unfortunately necessary. This bill reinforces something equally important, that standards do matter. The American military has high standards, and we have strong women who meet them. And when we allow those women to serve, our military and our country are stronger for it. The Warrior Act is about building the strongest possible fighting force, and that means drawing on the full strength of the nation, all of us. It means trusting data over politics, and it means refusing to turn back the clock. Thank you very much for joining us here. I am very, very proud to turn it over to my friend and representative, Tran. Army.
Army!
Good morning. I am Representative Tran from California. When I was 18 years old, I marched into an Army recruiter's office to give back to the country that has given my family so much. I serve with people from all walks of life, stood alongside men and women in uniform who taught me the true meaning of selfless service. And I brought those values with me to Congress. And I am honored to join Representatives Houlahan and Goodlander to introduce the Warrior Act. Today, we are reaffirming what veterans already know, that women serving in our armed forces make our country stronger and safer. When you serve in uniform, you have a sacred bond with the people you serve with. And it doesn't matter who you are or where you come from. All that matters is your commitment to serve and your ability to do your job. The Warrior Act will ensure that anyone with the tenacity and talent for military service can join in the fight to defend our freedoms. This is about more than women's rightful place in our armed forces. It's about strengthening our military, improving readiness, and ensuring our national security for generations to come. When this administration insults the women who have committed their lives to service, they hurt recruitment, they hurt retention, and they hurt our national defense. We need the best possible soldiers in each and every role across the armed forces. I served under the immediate command of Sergeant First Class Cynthia Shelton for 4 years, and there is not a single soldier I would rather have watching my back than her. And today, I am proud to continue to stand alongside the women who have served and who continue to serve this great country. And I'm grateful to Representative Houlahan for her leadership on this issue. Anyone who makes this sacred commitment to serve deserves our respect. It's time for the Trump administration to learn that. Thank you so much. And next up is Rep. Pat Ryan from New York.
Woo! Yeah.
Making the umbrellas work here. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being out here in spite of the weather. I'll be very brief. One, I just want to say thank you and tremendous respect and appreciation to Representatives Houlahan and Goodlander for continuing this fight. And I've had the honor to serve alongside both of them on the Armed Services Committee for several years now, especially Representative Houlahan. And you want to talk about a ferocious fighter, seeing her battle on behalf of every American to have the right and the honor to do what all of us standing up here did, which is love our country so much that we're willing to put our lives on the line to do that. And I've seen her go toe-to-toe with these culture war-focused idiots, frankly, who don't know, they just don't actually, they don't know what they're talking about. And rather than focusing on the serious business of preparing for real war, which unfortunately we're in one of them now, they're focused on distractions and culture war BS that divides our country right at the time when we need to be coming together. So this legislation reinforces, as my colleagues have said, what we've known for 250 years, that this country is great and strong and our military is lethal because of the fact that we wrap our arms around every single patriotic American who wants to serve and bring their tenacity, their strength, their experience, their smarts and toughness to serve. Especially at this moment, we need everybody, all hands on deck who love the country and are willing to serve. So I'm confident that the American people are with us on this and understand that what makes us strong and lethal is bringing everybody into the force in this way. And again, I just want to reinforce from a personal perspective, the most lethal warrior that I know and have served with was a woman, and I would go to battle with her, just as Derek said, every single day of the week, month, and year. And I know all of us know that to be the case, but given the lies and the misinformation coming from this administration, from Secretary Hegseth, from a 5-time draft dodger in Donald Trump, we have to say that over and over again, and we will prevail in that victory. So thank you again. Thank you, Chrissy. Thank you, Maggie, and to all my colleagues here. And now my honor to introduce one of the most long-standing leaders in this area and someone that I've got to know and work alongside on several issues, Miss Sue Fulton. Thank you. And thanks for holding my umbrella.
You bet. Thank you, Pat Ryan, Army. If it ain't raining, we ain't training. Thank you so much to the members of Congress who are here today, especially Chrissy Houlahan, who inspires me constantly. 50 years ago, on July 7, 1976, I first raised my right hand to swear a solemn oath to support and defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. I was joined by 118 other young women and over 1,000 young men, not counting the disgruntled upperclassmen charged with our training. We were the first women cadets in West Point history, and the men were not pleased. We wore uniforms and gear designed for men. We learned to operate weapons designed for men and passed physical fitness tests designed for men. So as women in the United States Armed Forces throughout history have done, we persevered. We overcame every obstacle put in our path. We met and exceeded the standards. For me, I was chosen for company command as a lieutenant above 2 senior ranking officers based on my performance in the field. Just one of hundreds of thousands of women who haven't just met the standards but exceeded them. It took us years of proving our worth, but especially in Iraq and Afghanistan, it became undeniable that women have the grit and the courage to face enemy fire, to destroy the enemy, to lead and to rescue their fellow troops. Women proved themselves qualified for the toughest jobs in ground combat arms, and in the process, brought their own talents and gifts to the fight. For the past 10 years, women have met the grueling male standards for combat arms, including infantry leadership and Ranger School. At the same time, they often outperform their peers with superior problem-solving skills, maturity, leadership, and long-term endurance. Today, men take it for granted that women serve alongside them as part of the team. We've heard men cite how a woman helped them get through Ranger School. Senior enlisted and officer leaders have testified that women have helped, not hurt, the effectiveness of our combat forces. 5 years of studies show women are succeeding in ground combat units so thoroughly that they stopped doing the studies. And we've heard reports from the field that having women in the ranks also motivates men to raise their game. Women have made our fighting force stronger, smarter, and better. The last thing we need for our fighting forces is to disqualify people based on ideology and prejudice, especially from a secretary who, as it was quoted in the New York Times this morning, wouldn't stand next to a black female general, who is eliminating black and women candidates for senior leadership. We need all the talent available to keep America safe. We need people who have the competence, character, and commitment to serve, period. Nothing else matters. Thank you. I'll be followed by Kayla Williams, who is an Army veteran, combat veteran, and a senior advisor to the Vet Voice Foundation. Kayla?
Thank you so much for that introduction, Sue, and thank you all for including me today. I'm proud to stand alongside all of these leaders representing the Vet Voice Foundation and our 2 million supporters nationwide. I'm Kayla Williams. 23 years ago this month, I took part in the initial invasion of Iraq as part of the 101st Airborne Division Air Assault. As an Arabic linguist able to translate between our troops and the local population, I went on combat foot patrols with the infantry in Baghdad with no plates in my flak vest because at the time women weren't allowed to be in combat, so they weren't issued to me. As we all learned, of course, enemy fighters and roadside bombs don't care about your MOS or your gender. All that mattered was that I could do my job, which I did, including during months as the most forward deployed female soldier with conventional U.S. forces. None of this is remarkable. Women have always served. Recognizing how essential women troops were for accomplishing the mission and the critical role played by hundreds of thousands of women like me, over a decade ago, civilian and military leaders with decades of honorable service and deep expertise rescinded the combat exclusion policy. Since then, women have succeeded in every role opened to them. Thousands are now serving in combat arms jobs and units. The vast majority of today's troops have only served under this policy. They have worked alongside women throughout their military careers. Whatever challenges there were to integrating women have long been solved. But today, all of this hard-won progress is at risk because of Pete Hegseth, a tabless leg with zero integrity who doesn't believe that women belong in combat. It's hard to believe that an infantry major with neither a Ranger tab nor airborne wings and no history of company command is the man pretending no woman can succeed where he personally has failed. Ignoring decades of research and the thoughtful judgment of those with far more knowledge and experience, Pete Hegseth wants to impose his extremist ideological beliefs on all the armed forces. And if he succeeds, it will have devastating effects on our readiness. It's absurd to think that brawn is the only thing that matters in combat. Audie Murphy, the most decorated American in World War II, was my height. Excluding half the population during an ongoing recruiting crisis while launching into another war is absurd. Here in the United States of America, our diversity is our strength. Diversity is lethality, and women make combat arms units stronger, smarter, and better. We cannot risk going back to ridiculous rules that forced commanders to attach women where they were needed in Iraq and Afghanistan because we couldn't be assigned to those units just because of one insecure man's whim. That's why this legislation is so important, and I urge Congress to pass it as quickly as possible. Thank you so much. I'm going to turn it over now to Representative Cisneros.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Congressman Gil Cisneros, and I represent California's 31st Congressional District. I want to thank my colleagues, Rep. Houlahan, Rep. Goodlander, for their leadership in introducing this legislation. Military service changed my life, and I take pride in the time that I spent in the Navy. And I believe anyone wanting to make the sacrifice should be given equal opportunity and access to serve our country. As a United States Navy veteran and former Undersecretary of Defense, I can say some of the best individuals I have served with have been women. And it's ridiculous that their value to our country in uniform is continuously being questioned by this administration. It's the 21st century, yet language for employment guidelines and military readiness standards is centuries behind. And as has been said, our current Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, wants to take us back even further and deny women their opportunity to serve. What he wants to do is place in regulations that would have a glass ceiling preventing women service members from reaching their potential, not allowing them to serve and not be aligned with their strengths. I want to be clear. Women in combat roles have and do meet the fitness standards required for their job. The recurring threats to remove their ability to be in these roles has nothing to do with their fitness ability. Just last year, we had the first woman compete and complete the U.S. Army's three-day Best Ranger competition. Over 4,500 women currently serve in combat-related roles. No one bent the rules on fitness standards to get them there. They earned it by their merit. The introduction of the Warrior Act will make military service members more inclusive by removing gender-based exclusions in jobs, improving transparency from the Department of Defense, and increasing congressional oversight. With this legislation, we can ensure that anyone qualified for a military service role is eligible to be considered through fair, holistic evaluation based on their ability, regardless of their gender identity. In our globalized world, it is important that our nation's defense are as strong as possible, and diversity is an asset. This legislation makes the military inclusive for qualified individuals to serve. Thank you for joining us today for the introduction of this important legislation. And with that, I'll turn it over to my colleague, Representative Goodlander.
Thank you, Gil. Kayla, I think you should be the Secretary of Defense. Just want to say that at the top. Sue, it's an honor to be with you, and to all my colleagues, especially to Congresswoman Chrissy Houlahan, the ultimate warrior. I would go to battle with you anywhere, Chrissy, and I'm grateful that you brought us all together this morning. I represent the state of New Hampshire, and our motto is live free or die. America, to just put it plainly, we are the land of the free because we are the home of millions of women who have worn the uniform, who have raised their hand, sworn an oath to our Constitution, put their lives on the line, answered the call to serve. We've got 250 years of glorious history where we've seen time and time again women step up to the fight to serve our country, to make us the greatest fighting force the world has ever known. This has been through grit, through excellence, through commitment, and through a deep love for our country and our Constitution. Over the last year, we've seen so many times an administration and a Secretary of Defense who has no business serving in that role, who defies common sense, who defies our Constitution, and well, we have him at it once again here. We are introducing the Warrior Act because it is a common sense bill that's going to make our military stronger, it's going to make our country safer, and that's going to vindicate the most basic principle of our Constitution, that if you are up for the job, if you can meet the standards, in America you get a fair shot. And that's what brings us here today. It's an honor to be working alongside these patriots who love our country, who've got the common sense that we need right now in America, in the middle of a war of choice and a crisis of the president's own creation. So may God bless our troops, may God bless this great country, and let's get the Warrior Act signed into law. Thank you.
That is a conclusion of our remarks. We are grateful to you for your tenacity and happy to answer questions should you have them. That's it. Thank you. It's a wrap.
Thank you.
Really? Oh my gosh.